It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, indeed. Now, a famous philosopher once said, happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory. We know that your health is one of the most important foundations of our life. And this morning, we're talking about a condition that affects far too many South Africans. In fact, the leading cause of death in South Africa. We're talking about tuberculosis, and we've got the Dr. G, Dr. Darren Green, back in the house. First of all, I have to commend you. The work you've been doing on the show has been amazing. The amount of people that stop me to commend the work that you're doing is great. So you really do connect with people, and I'm hoping we can connect with people today. So I'm going to put the number out there, 083 91 33728. That's 083 91 33728. If you have any questions relating to TB, please give us a call. Let's set the scene. When you say the leading cause of death, I know I'm being quite broad here with that statement, but this is a shocking revelation.
It is high impact, and I mean, we have the third highest incidence of tuberculosis in the world, after nations like India and China, obviously. And that immediately raises, obviously, a lot of alarm bells, because it's the disease of overcrowding. So obviously in our living conditions here in South Africa, there are many areas in our different populations where people are 8 or 9 people living in a one-bedroomed house or apartment. So you can imagine then that the chances of developing tuberculosis, if one person is actually infected, and the public transport systems, for example, in our country are obviously also overloaded, the chances get quite high of you developing or contracting that disease.
The disease of the impoverished, I think. So what actually happens? What is TB? Take us through.
Yeah, I think the disease of the impoverished was what we used to think it as, but nowadays, with the high levels of stress that we're under, people's immune systems are compromised. Wow. Even the rich don't eat properly. Even the rich don't exercise and have good lifestyles. So we find that the immune systems are not adequate, and that then lays you bare to be attacked by the bacteria. So tuberculosis is, the right name is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And that actually is a bacteria that once it gets into your system can lay there for years without causing any effect or damage or active disease. But what happens is when your immune system can't conceal it, hide it, or contain it, almost put it in a jail, it then wreaks havoc. So when your immunity is suppressed, you're malnourished, you're not sleeping, you're on long-term immunosuppressive therapy, or you have HIV, which also then lowers your immunity.
There must be a connection.
Then you have a latent infection of TB becoming an active infection. And that's when it can then cause havoc in different systems. Everyone associates it just with the lung.
Lungs, yeah.
And which is one of the most common forms of tuberculosis. But it can affect the nerve tissue, your brain, your bones, your lymph glands, etc.
Well, that being said, what are the symptoms then? When should the alarm bells be going off?
The typical ones only arise when you've had the disease for a while. So prolonged exposure to someone with active TB can then lead to you developing signs and symptoms, which would be a cough, persistent coughs for generally a long time, like more than 3 weeks, or blood-stained sputums when you do cough. Night sweats is another big one, and then obviously loss of weight and fatigue, chronic fatigue and loss of weight being right up there.
It's one of those things we don't want to start a panic, but if you are feeling any of the symptoms that the doc has just taken you through, it's something that you really have to take a look at. Well, we're going to take a look at what's being done on a mass scale to fight against TB after the break. And then again, we're going to open those lines to you to give us a shout, 083 91 33728. Let's see what else is coming up on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.